contest page and enter for your chance to win tickets to see your Minnesota Wild take on the Utah Hockey Club on January 23rd. Thanks to Custom One Exteriors, the official home partner of the Minnesota Wild. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter.
Is there some kind of a news conference we can tap into at 1:50? And I don't even care who it is. I don't care what sport, what city, what team, what level. I like these news conferences where I can just sit back and enjoy my lunch and not really pay close attention to what they say and then make accusations that the coach said something that I never really... Remember when I did that with Darnold? With KOC? Well, the guy's saying that we're too good to send out video of our handing out the game balls. And no, he didn't say that. He had said something to the effect of, we missed one of the guys in the video, but we're not going to redo it just so we can see it on the video. And I'm just making these baseless accusations. I apologize to him. I don't think he cares. I just I misremembered or misheard what he said. Time for 534 here on The Fan.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1. It's time now for multiple choice.
Love those in school. I mean, when we had a multiple choice text, I loved it because I had a 1 in 4 chance of getting it right. If it was you had to figure it out on your own, I had no chance of getting it right. So I liked the 1 out of 4.
Well, and the 1 of the 4 was always an obvious one that you wouldn't pick, right?
Yes,
so it just became a process of actual deduction as opposed to knowing the actual answer.
Like, for instance, what would you do if you were the general manager of the Vikings with Sam Darnold, and if A was sign him to a lifetime deal and let him decide the amount? Well, that's not the right one, right? Anyway, go ahead.
I would do the opposite of what Rick Spielman would do is what I would do.
Yeah, there you go.
Common, which Gophers headline in the Star Tribune would get you to most likely click on the link? A, Gophers gymnast May Houghton's career nearly ended before it started. B, Gophers women's basketball team bounces back to trounce Jackson State. Top sub Woodson injured. C, Gophers get transfer quarterback commitment from Georgia Tech's Zach Pyron. Or D, Gophers football assistant pay ranks toward bottom of Big Ten.
A and C would be the one. A would just because what was it? Why was her career almost over before it began? Maybe it was some kind of injury or something. I don't know. But so I would want to just to see what the reason.
Curious?
Yeah, curious to see the reason. C, which one was that again? That was
transfer quarterback committed from Georgia Tech.
The last time we took a transfer quarterback worked out real well. Max Brosmer turned into a mighty fine quarterback. So I would
now. Max was starting the whole time and putting up huge numbers at a smaller school. This kid was at a bigger school, but was kind of doing backup quarterback duties.
Still a workforce.
Was a 4-star out of high school.
Hell yeah, then I'd be interested in that,
too.
You
put anything into that.
All right, very good.
Question number 2. And now it's time to go in the trenches.
Good one on Thursday Night Football tonight. The 7-6 Los Angeles Rams are at the 6-7 San Francisco's 49ers. It's an NFC West division collision. Common, who wins tonight?
I think the Rams. I mean, it's desperation time for San Francisco. I mean, they need a lot of things. First of all, I think they got to probably run the table. Then they have to have several other results fall in their favor. I know a lot of people use the desperation angle as to why they give that team maybe not, predicting the win because of that, but that's, one point in their favor. Teams can be as desperate as they want, but there's a reason they're desperate, because they're 6-7. They're not very good. They've had a bad year. The Rams and the Seahawks are two teams that seem to be playing a little bit better than they were earlier. I mean, the Rams, this is the first time, it took them to week 14, but it took them 13 games to get to the point where they are have an above 500 record. And so and Stafford can still spin it. I mean, he's really, really talented. So I like the Rams in this one tonight.
Question number 3.
That was a long question. Go ahead and eat some food.
I already finished.
Oh.
It was some leftover breakfast sausage. I heated it up, though, and I hit it on Nuke.
Well, there should be more food out there. Chipotle was out there. Raising Cane's was out there.
I had Chipotle already. I've had breakfast food. I mean, the reason is some people call it our sister station. I would say it's our second cousin, 3 times removed radio station. It's K102 is doing their annual St. Jude's Radiothon. So, matter of fact, I wanted someone with the country and western station. I asked somebody who was intimately involved with it to give me the phone number or some information on it that people could use. I'd like to tell our listeners to go ahead, but I never got that information. I can't pass along information if I don't have it.
You've got to be kidding me.
We're trying to raise money for St. Jude's, and source a lot of our restaurant friends of iHeart will donate food for the people that are manning the phones, and there's always extra. They throw it out there, and then guys like me go and graze. It's probably more information than most people needed to know, but help St. Jude when you can. What you got, Tenby?
Yes, a modern version of the Skins game is returning to Thanksgiving week. Pro Shop, the new golf media company led by Full Swing Executive Director Chad Mumm, today announced a deal with the PGA Tour that brings back the Skins game for the first time since 2008. It'll be held on Black Friday after Thanksgiving in 2025, an example of more collaboration with the PGA Tour to showcase its best players away from the traditional presentation of golf. Still to be determined are the meat of the details, who's playing, for how much, and where. The Skins game was the cornerstone of what was once known as the silly season in golf. It began in 1983 with Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Tom Watson, and Gary Player, with Vin Scully as the announcer.
In Hawaii.
And was held over Thanksgiving weekend in the California desert.
Oh.
Like I said, the last Skins game was in 2008. It lost its title sponsor, and the 2009 event was canceled. Common, did you ever watch the Skins game back in the day, and would you have any interest in watching the current version?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You said it's going to be on Black Friday. Who's the band that did the song When Black Friday Comes? You know who did that?
Is it Donovan?
Steely Dan.
Oh, Steely Dan.
That would be Who is Steely Dan? Obscure songs that's really not an obscure song. But anyway, I didn't watch it back that far back. They did it through, like you say, was it through 2005 or 6 or whatever it was? I don't like when you have multi-million-dollar players that are worth millions and millions, they're set for life, and then you're having them play for hundreds of thousands of dollars a hole. There's no pressure. It's because if they win, it's great. It's just more to add to their portfolio, but none of them really need the money. So to me, there's no pressure on it.
Yeah.
It's just...
You want them playing for money that they'd care about.
Or at least playing for, what would you rather have, a green jacket or a trophy that I won the Skins Championship on Black Friday against 3 other guys? It's a meaningless event. I don't need to see golf that badly that I want to watch these guys.
I think it would be better if you had hacks like me playing for that dollar amount and just seeing the pressure on guys that are 13, 14 handicaps. I would rather watch that.
I'm with you. I think that would be more interesting. Though that sort of leans towards the old clam bake. They do that Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
Yeah.
Where they got to show Kenny G, Bill Murray, and all these other guys. And some of those guys can play a little bit. Like Alice Cooper and Kenny G are both pretty good players. They're like 1s and 2s. So you don't mind watching them swing a bit. To watch Bill Murray hit a ankle-high line drive and then do some goofy comedic dance, once I've seen that once, I don't need to see it a second time. So I would just bag the whole thing, and I would just take the silly season off and don't worry about golf until spring. That's what I would do. Until they get to the west, until they start in Hawaii.
Number 3.
Gold Vikings, let's win the game. You'll hear a tell for gold.
Skull.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the state of the skull.
I was going to ask you Vikings questions, but the injury report for today just came out. So
okay.
maybe we can get to that on the other side of the break.
All right, very good.
But on Tuesday, the New England Patriots waived wide receiver KJ Osborne in what was considered a mutual decision. Osborne ended up being claimed by the Washington Commanders, so he has a chance to make a run in the playoffs. Osborne has only played in 7 games this year, 7 receptions for 57 yards and a touchdown. That's all he's had. Common, when KJ Osborne was waived by the Patriots, should the Vikings have had interest in a reunion?
I guess not. I was a big KJ Osborne supporter. And again, I played the game at a high level, both sides of the ball. I wasn't a wide receiver, but I was a tight end. I thought he ran disciplined routes. I thought he was a good player. but apparently not as good as I thought he was. I missed the boat. I'd have been one of those where Kwesi makes a draft pick that doesn't work out. I like KJ Osborne, but he wasn't good enough to stay here, at least according to the eyes of those responsible for making those decisions. Certainly didn't work out. If you can't make it in New England, have they won a game this year? 2 or 3, 4?
They're like 3-10.
Yeah, so it's like if you can't make it there, then
there's not a lot of competition to face from a wide receiver standpoint either. There.
Yeah, so I would say no. I think the Vikings. I think they're. I'm not saying they're totally set at that position. You could argue they have the best 1-2 combination in pro football. A couple of other teams could make the argument. We talked about it.
You could argue he was better than Jalen Naylor, though.
Yeah. Well, He
as a third wide receiver.
Maybe he is. I think they're happy with where they're at, obviously.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 questions. Well, actually, 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
By the way, Mark Rosen at 2, spread swing at 2:30. Deuce, my firstborn, loins. He'll join us at 2:30 for spread swing. Got some more controversial Vikings news on the other side of the break, and more whining in the NBA. That and so much more. Common Man program on the Fan.
Is back at Chanhassen Dinner Theater, opening January 31st. Experience the nostalgia of high school in the 50s with this musical based on the iconic film. Head over to our contest page for your chance to win a pair of tickets, including dinner for 2. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter today.
I want to draw your attention to this Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Text I received moments ago, 64686. It says, follow Sam Darnold. What does that mean? Does that mean follow him on Twitter? He says, follow Sam Darnold. Then he says, I'd be so angry if they offered me $45 million, $30 million more than what I made this year. I mean, come on. So in other words, he's suggesting that it's ridiculous for any of us to say, well, he might want more money than that. He might feel like he needs a little bit more. I can tell you right now that the text messenger from the 218, he's a diehard Viking fan. He wants Darnold to be here so badly, but he also wants the Vikings to have money to spend on others. So he feels that Darnold should he wants the best of both worlds. So he wants to believe that Darnold would go, God, that's a nice race. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, which it is a nice race. But if you can get more, I would ask the 218 guy, if you were offered whatever you make for a living, let's say the 218 guy makes $100,000 a year. Okay, let's just go with $100,000. So I don't want to say he makes 50 or 150 or 200. Let's just say it's $100,000.
It's a nice even number.
Nice even number.
Yeah.
And if all of a sudden who you work with said, you did a nice job for us, we're going to give you $200,000. But a competitor across the street goes, I'll give you $400,000. You're going to go, oh, you know what? You really gave me a great opportunity here, so I'm going to go with it. You're going to go to the 4.
Yes.
100 million, you just are. What do you mean? Come on. I mean, come on. He might very well. He might say, somebody else suggested, here's another one. Maybe old Sam Darnold had an arm. We'll take a hometown discount. I mean, Kevin O'Connell's the only coach that gave him a chance after San Francisco. Nobody wanted him. I guess it's possible that Sam could feel so indebted to the quarterback fixer-upper. Maybe he's not a quarterback whisperer. Maybe he's a quarterback fixer-upper. The quarterback repairman. But that he's so indebted to him, to McCown, the organization, the Wilfs, to Kwesi, that he goes, you know what? Even though I could make $20 million a year more elsewhere, I'm staying here. He might. Be very.
I doubt it.
I doubt it, too. That'd be very magnanimous of him. Could you look up the word magnanimous? I think I may have used that wrong, too. Magnanimous. Magnanimous. M-A-G-N-A-M-I-N-O-U-S. Magnanimous.
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 Generous or forgiving, especially toward a rival or less powerful person.
Not
magnanimous.
Quite. I guess not quite then, because they're the Vikings organization is more powerful than the quarterback himself, or is he? Does the quarterback hold
showing or suggesting nobility of feeling and generosity of mind?
Yeah. You know what? Even though I can make double elsewhere, I'm going to stick around with you guys. Oh, come on. Well, I'll give you the come on. You can't possibly believe that, Ken.
The other part of sticking around their future franchise quarterback is sitting right behind you.
Right, exactly.
Right? It's not like you'd have the whole job to yourself and know, hey, I'm their guy for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Like you'd be looking over your shoulder going, well, at some point, whenever he's ready, they're going with him because that's their future.
Exactly right. But here's what happens. And that's why, I brought up to you on these. I was going to go with something else to start this segment, but I'm going to go back to that story from Alec Lewis today because I want to get down to the comment section, Tenneby, to some of these fans. They get where are some of these? I don't know. I'd have to go through them, but there are some that just think that everything this Vikings franchise is doing is, that we have put together the blueprint for creating an NFL dynasty. We have a nice record at 11-2. I even think they can win the division. I think Detroit could be in trouble on Sunday. The Bills want that game as badly as Detroit does. The Bills are very good. The Lions are getting some starters back, but they've been beat up. I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings win. They're only a game back. Detroit still has to play Buffalo, one of the best teams in pro football. They still have, the Viking game. And there's also Chicago and San Francisco waiting as well. And I know both Chicago and San Francisco aren't very good, but anything can happen. But there are people that think the Vikings have it all figured, and maybe they do. I need more proof, man. I need to see a deep playoff run.
Well, I do think the reason for the optimism is your guy. Was it Q-Dubs?
Q-Dubs or quarterback fixer-upper.
Yeah, Q-Dubs. Because assuming he's under contract for a long time, and I think he's going to get paid this offseason if he doesn't even get paid before then. I'm surprised they haven't written him a check already. But when you have an offensive-minded head coach, let's just say, and it's hard to evaluate and calculate where he would rank, but let's say he's a top 5 offensive mind in the league, and he's your head coach for the next 8 to 10 years. There's reason to believe, that he can elevate quarterback play. As long as you have good quarterback play for the next decade, you could, on any given year, you can make a run and you have a chance. And I get the optimism because it's kind of our first time we've had a quarterback whisperer type of coach that we know is still young and is potentially going to be here for a while, where you can look 8 to 10 years down the road.
Here's one of the comments. I'd prefer Sam leave a happy man with good things to say about the organization, recoup a third-round compensatory pick, start Daniel Jones to start next season before backing up JJ once ready, allowing Jones to leave a happy man with good things to say. Keep the train moving as long as you can. A reputation that earns the organization an extra third-round pick every year is extremely valuable. In other words, every quarterback that comes here is going to be a success story. Just bring them in one after another. Are we forgetting Pasternaut, Mullins, Jaron Hall? All those guys were coached up by the head coach, and they didn't pan out. There are those, and you are one of them, that think that Cousins became a better player, was better under KOC, but how much better? We parted ways with him because we went, well, that's as far as I can go. KOC can only do so much. He's not a magician, but people want to believe it. And maybe he will be.
You got to have some talent to work with.
You have to have some talent. And you know what?
I think he can maximize that talent and he can get the most out of it, but you still need to have a talented quarterback.
I'll do an apology segment. I've apologized to all sorts of people over the years for when you start prognosticating, predicting, what's the word I'm looking for now? I'm searching for a word. When you start to, I get to predict what you think is going to happen, right? When you go, well, this is kind of what I think is probably going to end. It doesn't always work out that way, right?
I get the optimism.
I do too.
They're 11-2 with Sam Darnold at quarterback.
I do too.
Nobody would have guessed that 4 months ago.
We were also 15-1, and then the next year didn't work out very well. We always have to have a kick. And then what about 2009? What did we? Murph, unfinished business. Just wait. Wait till we come back. We got jobbed in Bounty Gate. We're coming back. We've got unfinished business. Then remember the other year? Bring it home. What ended up happening? We watched from home. Now, I will say we weren't that far out of that game against Philadelphia in 2017. All we needed to get to the big game was a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and an onside kick, a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and an onside kick, a touchdown, a 2-point conversion. Here's another team that people have high hopes for, the Wild, Tennessee. What's going on with the Wild right now?
Yes, this is Wild Today, brought to you by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild. The Wild host the Edmonton Oilers tonight at the X. The Oilers have won 3 in a row and 7 of their last 10. Minnesota beat the Oilers back in Edmonton 5-3 on November 21st. Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid are tied for the team lead in scoring with 38 points for the Wild. Matt Zuccarello and Jonas Brodin both took part in the Wild's morning skate today. Neither will go tonight, though. Joel Eriksson-Ek will miss the game as well. And Philip Gustafson will get the start in net for your Wild. And take on the Oilers a little bit later start tonight, 7:30 p.m. You can hear that game right here on the Fan. That was Wild Today, brought to you by Jim Beam, a crowd pleaser since 1795.
Metallica.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Brad Sean Bright text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
We mentioned the rock legends Led Zeppelin in passing in the first segment of the Grummer at the beginning. Timmy, do you have a favorite Led Zeppelin song? Are you even much of a Led Zeppelin
I
fan?
don't know a whole lot of Led Zeppelin. I mean, I know a whole lot of Love.
I got a whole lot of love.
It's that song they play before every Vikings kickoff.
Oh, that's
the Immigrant Song?
Yeah, Immigrant Song. And then there's Black Dog.
And Stairway to Heaven.
Cashmere.
Yeah.
And my favorite might be O'er the Hills and Far Away. I think that might be my favorite. And
But
then
I've never actually listened to like a Led Zeppelin album.
Led Zeppelin 4 is Led Zeppelin 4. Led Zeppelin 4 is to die for. Led Zeppelin 4 is to die for. Become a monthly donor to St. Jude, if you would. You know, that country and western station, K102, I'm not sure if they're playing today's, tomorrow's, or yesterday's country right now. I don't know which one they're playing, but they've been doing this St. Jude radiothon for, I don't know, years and years and years. I might not, don't quote me on this, but I think they raise over a cool $1 million every year for St. Jude. If you want to become a monthly...
Which is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's just for a little old country and western station here on the prairie. You can become a monthly donor by pledging just $19 a month to help kids at St. Jude fight cancer. Put your gift on a credit card, and they'll get you a new T-shirt. It says, "This shirt saves lives," and the music gives sweatshirt. Call now, 1-800-303-1135. 1-800-303-1135. Again, that's 1-800-303-1135. If I'm not mistaken, if you go to St. Jude's for cancer care, you don't pay a single cent. Not a red cent for anything. It's pretty cool. So I think St. Jude's may have been started, too, by Danny Thomas, actor, comedian, and then his daughter, Marlo Thomas. Have you heard of Marlo Thomas before?
No.
She played in a very successful situation comedy back in the 60s called That Girl. That Girl.
That girl.
That Girl. So Marlo Thomas. But anyways, I'll go ahead and give, if you would. Tennessee, as if it wasn't enough that Juan Soto was given a 15-year, $765 million contract. You know what sealed the deal, apparently? Unless he got a free luxury suite and up to 4 premium tickets for home games, he was out. They felt necessary to give him that.
Yeah.
Is it really?
You can't afford it at that point?
$765 million wasn't enough. Do you think his agent said that? You said, look, the money's nice. We'll agree to that, I guess. But the deal's off unless we get a luxury suite and 4 premium tickets behind home plate.
Well, I guess that would be expensive after a while. I mean, he can afford it,
Well,
but
yeah, so it's like, I don't even know why you bother. You know, there's certain things you just say, you know,
Do the Twins have luxury suites, like suites that are much more luxurious than the others?
Well, that's where the Polettes sit. Yeah. Can you give me a rim shot there? Appreciate that. Thank you very much. So Juan Soto, get his luxury suite. I would just let it sit empty all year, too. Just let it just sit empty. I would hope what he'll do with it, he'll donate it to St. Jude's.
Sure.
Something like that. And say, hey, you know what? Let's let some people, the people that don't have as much as I do, enjoy themselves. Tenneby, I know you're paying really close attention to the NBA Cup. I mean, it's exciting stuff. I don't know about you. I'm on the edge of my seat. I get up when those West Coast games that are part of the NBA Cup. If I fall asleep, I get up in the middle of the night and I Google those scores.
I do when I have like tummy troubles.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, you get up, you can't sleep. Absolutely. Steve Kerr deems foul call that led to Warriors' loss to Rockets and NBA Cup unconscionable. Stevie Kerr complaining about officiating. They don't complain about officiating much in the NBA, do they? I don't ever recall a player or coach being upset about it. It's every day, every game, every call. Dateline Houston, Golden State coach Stevie Kerr said a foul call against his team that led to a loss to Houston on Wednesday night in the NBA Cup was unconscionable and that an elementary school referee wouldn't have made it. Wow.
That's low. That's low.
That's pretty derogatory. And that is, guess what, Timmy? He's going to get fined $25,000. Oh, no. And they might take his luxury suite from him, too. After Steph Curry missed a three-pointer with Golden State up a point with 11 seconds to go, Gary Payton, the two, grabbed the offensive rebound, but turned it over with a pass that Jalen Green intercepted. Jonathan Kuminga was then called for a foul against Green while they were on the floor, giving Green a pair of free throws that lifted Houston to a 91-90 victory and a spot in the NBA Cup semifinals. Kerr said this is unconscionable. I mean, I don't even understand what happened. Here's what he said. Our guys battled back, played their bleeps off, and deserved to win that game or at least have a chance for one stop at the end to finish. And that was taken from us by a call that I don't think an elementary school referee would have made. Because that guy would have had, because that guy would have had feel for the game and said, you know what? I'm not going to decide a game on a loose ball 80 feet from the basket. And crew chief Bill Kennedy was asked about by a pool reporter while the foul was called. He goes, the defender makes contact with the neck and shoulder area, warranting a personal foul to be called. That's what Kennedy said. Kerr ranted for about 2 minutes about the officiating after the game and complained about what he believed was a clear foul on Curry that wasn't called earlier. Kerr said, the game was a complete wrestling match. They didn't call anything. Steph got hit on the elbow playing his day on a jump shot, just clubbed right on there and no call. So you've established that you're just not going to call anything throughout the game. It's a physical game. You're going to call loose ball foul on a jump ball situation with guys diving on the floor with the game on the line? And I guess that's exactly what they did. And, you know, I could make an argument for either side of that. I understand what Kerr is saying. A feel for the game. If they're not calling it, it's late in the game. It's like, well, I'm not going to let a call 80 feet from the basket. And, you know, not even this one specifically, just any call late in the game that seems to be, I don't know, iffy or, you know, or at least if it's always iffy for the person that the foul was called against, it was a bad call. And of course, for the team that received the call, they're going to be, the benefits of it are going to think it's the right call. But you and I have had this discussion before too, Tenneby, where it's that old, well, you just swallow the whistle at a certain point in the game. You don't call anything anymore because the game is on the line. Let the players decide it. And while that sounds good in principle, right? It does sound good. Let the players decide it. Well, then, if that is pretty much the unwritten rule, well, then at any time, if I'm a player and I know in a minute they're going to swallow the whistle, well, I'm going to foul guys then because they're not going to call it. So then you would have a free-for-all with you think the game is physical. Now we would go over the top. And then should they not call that when it's completely obvious? Just tell your guys not to foul in that situation is what I would do. Plus, Steph blundered anyways. They're up. there's 13, 14 seconds left on game clock, 9 on the shot clock, and he shoots. Now, he's Steph, greatest three-point shooter in the history of the game.
Yeah.
But don't you wind that shot clock down a little bit more? I mean, the shot clock's at 9 and the game clock's like at 13, 14. Got another 6, 7 seconds you could milk off that, which would probably eliminate Houston from having any opportunity to get back in the game if you miss the shot or not, make the shot or not. But it's one of the reasons why the NBA can be a frustrating game to watch. And we talk about this all the time. The last, real time 2 minutes in an NBA game, oftentimes will take a half hour. It just does. It's certainly 15, 20 minutes. It just goes on and on with foul, shoot. That's why, again, it's been recommended. And I'm not so sure. I know we hate drastic changes in our favorite sports. For instance, we talked about one that Major League Baseball, the commissioner, just threw out of nowhere the other day, the golden at bat, where at any time during the game, they were talking about making some limits to it, and one of them I saw was after the 7th inning, you can put anybody up to the plate you want.
Well, they hadn't even talked about after the 7th inning.
Yeah. Well, no, but that was one of the things that was in that story, though. They talked about there could be different. There could be some limitations to it. It has to be after the 7th inning.
They're discussing that there,
right?
Yeah.
But let's say it was after the 7th inning. So that's what I think they would do. Is after the 7th inning, you can go ahead and even if let's say you wanted Royce Lewis to hit, but he's like 6 batters. He's in the lineup, but it's 6. He's 6th in the. It's 6 hitters before him. You can move him up and have him hit there. And at the time when you and I had the discussion, I thought, well, the old school guy in me doesn't like it. It's such a dramatic change. It's like I just hated Ghost Runner on second base. I hate that rule. Just hate it. I hate the shift that you got to have 2 guys on the left side on the left side of second base and 2 players on the right. And I understand what you're trying to do, but to me, it just makes you learn to hit to the opposite field. You can punt it. They'll stop doing that shift. If they want to leave the entire left side of the infield wide open, learn to hit to the left side of the infield. And guess what? They'll stop doing it to you, but they don't do that. So, I lost that battle. In regards to...
How about there's a new rule that got brought up again this week that I think you were against before, and I was for, and it would be a radical rule, but I think it was Troy Vincent was talking about basically like the onside kick, like we need to have changes of the onside kick now. Yeah. It's so hard to get them, and you can't do any surprise onside kicks anymore. And it sounds like they're going to bring back up the thought of, which I'm all for, and it's a radical change, of just doing like a 4th and 15 play from your own 30-yard line, where if you get an offensive play, if you get 15 yards, you get to maintain possession. If you get stopped anywhere, then they get the ball wherever you, ended up on that play after the play was over. I like it. Yeah, well, teams would always be in games in the fourth quarter. It's be much more entertaining than an onside kick.
What if you drop back to pass, throw, pass interference, penalty comes in, it's iffy? That's what I don't like. Then it's like, really, that wasn't an interference penalty, but they threw the flag because that's what you do. I mean, it is much obviously gives the team that's behind them instead of the onside kick does the first one play for 15 yards. It gives them a much. I would think the percentage is way higher that they get a first down and keep the drive going. But I mean, you could be down 3 touchdowns with 5 minutes left and still have a chance in the game, which I find intriguing. Most games come down to 1 score nowadays. Anyways, I think 80% of the games are 1 score to begin with. I still don't know if I'd go back to. I just would like to know how many players suffered injuries, particularly really bad concussive type injuries because of onside kicks. Because how many times do onside kicks really even happen in a game? Once a game?
Well, it wasn't just because of onside kicks. It was that you had to have the exact same alignment as the regular kickoff, and the guys were suffering concussions on the regular kickoff. But now that they changed the kickoff. Well, the regular kickoff
is terrible, too. Remember, that was going to add excitement to the game? Very rarely are you seeing any returns, right?
Just slightly more, but not as much. They need to change that, too.
But in basketball, they talked about, and I'm actually, even though this would dramatically change the game, I like the idea of you get to a certain point in the game. How did they explain that? Where you just play to a certain point total.
Yes.
Now. It's like,
when the time is done, then it's like you played like 10 more points from whatever team is leading.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah, the way they have it formulated is the team that is ahead has fewer points to get. If you're up 107, 101, you're going to 114.
117 or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, okay. And so now, and I guess I wouldn't.
And then it's untimed. It's just every game will end on a basket.
Yeah, and I
kind of like it.
I think I could go well because I'm not a huge hoops fan. It's not my favorite sport, anyways. So maybe because I don't have anything really. I don't have as much.
It would also prevent all the end of basketball games where it's foul, two free throws down the court, heave up a three, foul. Like it would take away that element of it too. So I do kind of like it.
Yeah, I would be willing to give that a try. And then lastly, for you, Tennessee, I'm going to be positive about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Believe it or not.
What?
Yeah. There was a piece that Chris Hine, Fish Rat Factory, West Side wrote in regards to our guy Anthony Edwards. This was from, what's the date today?
It's December 12th.
So this was yesterday.
12/12/24.
This was actually last night when I got home. It was late last night, about 10:30. 11:40. Timberwolves coaches graded Anthony Edwards' clutch time decision-making. Here's how he did. He was awful the other night. He went 1 for 7 in hero ball time. But for what they've put together, it says, this is what Finch said. We felt that he's made the right play 80% of the time, which is great. That switch, I think, started to happen mid to late season, knowing that in the playoffs it was coming. He did a really good job, I thought, of early playoff series, of really creating offense for making the right play and letting the game come to him as it did. I think he just got a little excited, probably in a little personal battle the other night. We talked about that, going back and forth with Steph. You know, that's what happens, Tennessee. You're going toe-to-toe with the greatest three-point shooter in the history of the game. You're against a guy who's got 4 rings, and you're the guy that says, you know, you want to be one of the best all-time players. He says, I think he just got a little excited, got probably a little personal battle the other night, and I think that's where the regret comes in. Because if you'll remember, Ant refused to talk after that game to the media, though when the media was interviewing, might have been Randall, no, maybe Conley or Randall, he was speaking loud enough for the media to hear. I think he was intentionally doing that, basically saying, I was just awful, you know. And he was. And that is that. I'm not a big believer in, well, it's just part of the maturing process. You should just know. It's the old, once you're told something, doesn't it register? Hey, don't do hero ball. If they're doubling up on you, you got to fight, because that means somebody else is open. You got to do it. Look at JJ. Jets. Didn't like it. You know he didn't like not getting what? He gone 4 games without a tutty? Was that the number? Do you recall, Tennessee? Was it 4 games without a tutty? He was getting 2 catches a game for 8 yards. Addison's turning into a star, getting all the attention. Hawkinson, all the attention. But being the pro that he is, and I don't think is he much younger? Is he about the same age as Ant? JJ and him about the same, would you think? Close?
Yeah, JJ might be, they probably are pretty close, yeah.
Seems like Jets has figured it. Not different sports, and I get all that. But, so they've graded him out that he is 80% of that's good. I'd like to make it 100% of the time. Might be difficult to achieve that. But it's nice to see, according to their sabermetrics, their analytics, they're breaking down the all 10 wide, that they see some improvement in his knowledge of the game. Conley even had a quote. And I wonder if it was in this piece. Yeah, here's what Conley said. I like this, Tenneby. Point guard Mike Conley said he and Edwards had a conversation on the way back to the team hotel where he said Edwards told him, I botched it. This was after the game in which he decided to play hero ball. But Conley's noticed a different tenor to those kinds of chats with Edwards over the years. They've gone from Edwards regretting missing shots he feels he should have made to regretting wrong decisions to pass or shoot late in games. That's the difference.
That's development.
That's development. And now that he understands it, I don't know why he still wants to go back. I guess you just get caught up in the moment. I'm going to battle with Steph Curry. Crowds on their feet. Watch me do a step back and ice the game. Well, your decisions cost you that game the other night. Mark Rosen, the legendary one, he joins us next. And then Deuce at 2:30 for Spread Swing. Right here on the Fan.